much. And yeah, thank you for a great opening. I'm delighted to be here to talk to you about public AI literacy with a bit of a gentle start to the morning. And I hope to provide a perspective that considers the important role everyone here can play to protect public power. Because, of course, whatever our work roles, we're all members of the public, our friends, our family. We all have hopes, we have dreams, completely separate to our jobs. So that's the kind of start that I'll come from. So I'll talk today about the need to have higher ambitions for our populations than simply building public awareness. Sorry, I'm very short. Is that better? Simply building public awareness of AI. Awareness without understanding can actually build barriers, not only to public trust, but to public attitudes towards AI. And I'll look at what this means for researching public participation, public attitudes, and I'll propose the use of AI literacy frameworks not only for skills, which is what people often think AI literacy means, certainly that's something we come across, but to provide measurable indicators of the key competencies and capabilities that everybody now needs. I'll then suggest some ways that everyone here might be able to help. So who am I? I am founder of We in AI, which is a UK non-profit. It's a volunteer-led organisation dedicated to AI literacy, but for the purposes of social inclusion. We're passionate about this due to a desire to increase the diversity of people involved in decision-making about AI, with the belief that this will make it better for everybody. Our programmes include co-designed community workshops on AI, supporting and undertaking stakeholder and participatory research and public engagement, and consultancy on transparent communications about AI. We also run the global collaboration Better Images of AI, which is an inspiration website reimagining the cliched stereotypes that we often see in visual representations of AI. And you'll spot some of our free new images from our free image library throughout the presentation. If you use AI images, please have a look. They're free on a Creative Commons license. So, We in AI set up in 2020. At the time, our mission was to increase public awareness of the risks and rewards of AI. Well, 4 years later, awareness has definitely increased. However, of course, that's been thanks to OpenAI and some open letters. It's not been thanks to us or to educational efforts in general. Indeed, despite the words AI, hallucinations, and authenticity being different dictionaries' words of the year for 2023, public understanding of AI may actually be lower than ever. It's no surprise, given what we see accompanying these articles about the words of the year. The imaginary thinking robot and the service robot, which I think has been decommissioned, I think this is Pepper, have little to do with the LLM and generative AI boom, which resulted in these words becoming popular in the first place. So this here is a tweet showing that the long traditions of depicting AI as human-like, anthropomorphizing it in a plethora of ways, has consequences. It's no surprise that the capabilities of human-sounding AI chatbots are often misunderstood. This tweet is an example of a US senator who did not understand about the data sets that ChatGPT is trained on and how these enabled it to predict likely answers to chemistry questions. This is also a member of the public responsible for making laws. And we've also seen many misunderstandings by lawyers themselves and even academics who think that predictive output is actually a fact known by a machine. Outside of examples like this, AI narratives, misleading AI narratives, present a considerable barrier to even understanding the basis for public opinions. This is despite an amount of money being spent by various institutions and organisations trying to track public opinion for product design or policy guidance. We either find that the views of AI are restricted to scary robots, or studies try to poll sentiment based on AI topics, AI products, but don't get much insight because they're based on public misconceptions or misunderstandings. So Ismael Karuba Garcia and I wrote an essay in the Joseph Rowntree, for Joseph Rowntree Foundation for their AI for Public Good workstream about how the potential lack of AI literacy and over-reliance on media narratives among those designing the research can also have an impact. Limitations among research designers mean that the very questions being asked skew or limit the findings of those studies. So it is indeed very hard to get public input into the kind of AI products and services that they would like, or to get the kind of informed discourse on the public uses of AI which is necessary for the democratic processes to work properly. Part of the reason for this is that often all the attention is being focused on the extremes of AI hype and AI panic, both of which, it can be argued, are fueled by underlying profit motives. When we talk about hype, it's worth remembering that the very term AI itself is not that helpful. Some argue that it hides the processes in play behind a contested and contextual term, artificial intelligence. I think it's Emily M. Bender who suggested that we replace AI with maths in any sentence and see how much more approachable the field becomes. Instead, in the UK, at least last year, we saw apocalyptic headlines in our national newspapers. All the shaded headlines here in a range of different papers warn of the imminent destruction of humanity. While on the other hand, EAC, effective accelerationists, evangelists, give hyperbolic, somewhat fantastical visions of AI saving us all without showing a credible roadmap as to how we get there. So our concern at We in AI about the dominance of the extremes of doom and salvation resulted in us proposing and editing a topical collection for Springer's AI and Ethics journal on the ethical implications of AI hype, the overinflation and misrepresentation of the capabilities of AI. The collection already has a number of articles online if you're interested in looking, a print quarterly coming out. We felt that bringing considered attention to the range of potentially negative impacts caused by hype might help to give food for thought to some of those operating in the way detailed on this slide. The media sometimes sensationalise due to their revenue models, but sometimes simply due to the lack of literacy amongst the journalists and the writers and editors. So advisor to our collection, Dr. Niri Weiss-Blatt, has a blog on the phenomenon of AI panic, where she touches on this 7 ways media coverage is failing us. And she also digs into the extent of billionaire funding, which goes into ensuring that extinction risk or X-risk messages stay top of public consciousness. Here she breaks down how she sees the agendas behind the debates. So certainly these sci-fi narratives suck the oxygen out of attempts to engage people with more current issues. For example, what the best cases for an AI voice assistant may or may not be for their parent, or how to navigate deepfakes and misinformation, or what use cases of mental health support they're comfortable with in having an AI solution. So that's in the wrong order there. So against this background of wildly competing and alienating narratives, a structured, sensible way of identifying what people need to know about AI is desperately needed. To identify what knowledge and critical thinking skills are needed in order to live with AI and data-driven technologies in various parts of our lives. To make decisions about usage in a way that reflects the values and interests of people and those of their communities. And so they can even have an informed say in determining future trajectories of technology design and deployment. And despite the slow uptake, there has been a considerable amount of work already done, both in terms of research on how existing pedagogical methodologies can be applied to teaching AI, and also exploring how other literacy-related programs can be built on. Someone here mentioned in the chat the data literacy and also the IEEE group are building on the DQ framework. So it's not enough to treat AI as another IT subject. Research has shown that it has unique facets of autonomy, learning, and inscrutability. That's Pinsky and Benlian. AI literacy, therefore, requires a socio-technical perspective. AI practice is interdisciplinary in nature. That's quoting Sartori and Theodori. So this diagram is Bloom's taxonomy is the result of a literature review of 30 AI literacy frameworks mapped onto the 1950s hierarchical framework for categorizing educational goals, which helps to educators to understand the objectives of teaching and how to change the complexity of content and indicators. Further, it helps to develop critical thinking among teachers and students. I'd argue that the widespread release of generative AI means that the required public attainment level has moved up the pyramid somewhat, as they now need to be responsible, to be able to responsibly and competently apply, or decide to not, the tools which are becoming part of everyday life. So we've already covered, Johannes, thank you, Katerina and Johannes's wonderful framework, which supports the IEEE standard development and shows awareness as being only the very first step. Apologies for having this was in an article I wrote, and I think it's been reformatted. Your version is much better. Photograph Johannes's version, not this one. It shows the different roles in relation to data and AI which people play, with the informed prosumer, which you described, mapping onto the base level required for all publics. Yet for all levels, I love the explanation given, which is that it requires not only a tool set or a skill set, but above all a mindset to critically question the quality of data and information sources, to be able to separate facts from opinions, to recognise the limits of data, including the capabilities and limits of AI applications and algorithms, and to make the right decision based on this recognition. I think that is a fantastic explanation. So, we in AI, we're calling for the adoption of these frameworks by educators, researchers, public bodies, institutions, and also for the creation of learning opportunities which use them. This is critical because in the absence of such rigour, tech marketers are filling the vacuum with explainers that, understandably, position their technologies in an unambiguously positive light rather than encouraging critical thinking. However, this is counterproductive to trust in the long term. If you want to know how more about countries around the world are approaching the issues at a national level, I think we have some talks coming up on that. I also wrote a little bit in the essay for Joseph Rowntree, but the short story from my perspective is that in the UK we are lagging behind the EU, which is what drives a lot of our effort. And the US is picking up pace now with a bill, and there's some great work being done internationally. So far, the only national effort in the UK is a 5-week online course aimed at the people of Scotland, funded by the Scottish Government, at a digital citizen level. So that's all ready for those looking to spend 5 weeks learning about how to live with AI. We in AI, we designed the content for this course, and we had great fun uncovering all the Scottish case studies throughout the entire thing, and I recommend that for any nation to really not just use those US ones, but to look at the ones within the country when explaining any type of technology. So I'll end now with a quick tour through what you can do to use your positions of knowledge to create a better environment for public literacy, and therefore for everyone. Perhaps you can raise awareness of the importance of using robust pedagogy to develop base level as well as expert level, business level, technical level AI literacy. Can you talk to marketing departments, business departments about grandiose performance claims, about their anthropomorphic language, about misleading analogies? Or could you help to identify and communicate competencies related to your work for other people in the organisation or that you interact with? And also, see if you can get your colleagues to avoid these key visual tropes of AI, which contribute to working against mass engagement and understanding of AI. So anthropomorphism, showing human, I managed anthropomorphism, but I struggled with the next bit, showing human form where there is none, which leads to things like breasts where none are needed. The Michelangelo trope is a common one whenever we discuss, human-AI interaction, but it uses religious imagery implying untouchable, godlike AI, which is really not a way of thinking we should be encouraging. Avoiding science fiction imagery, or the Terminators, the descending code. They come from fiction, make AI seem like fiction, but also none of these films went very well for humans, so I don't know why we use them so much. Blue, 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 it's boring, it's alienating and distancing. Making intelligent robots white and Western looking, more importantly, is also pretty racially biased, as Cave and DeHaar explain in their paper, The Whiteness of AI. And there are so many people involved in making AI and using it. Do we really only need to show white men in suits as the ones who can wield it? Finally, glowing blue brains, which are so unhelpful for conflating human and machine intelligence. Some people we speak to literally think AI is a brain made from nodes or circuit boards. These explanations are taken, these explanations here are taken from our downloadable guide on betterimagesofai.org website, where we've researched these and include lots of other research. So, with AI developing at an incredible rate, we can't delay in ensuring the public is adequately literate and meaningfully engaged in how AI technology shape society. Thank you very much. Please get in touch if you can inform or support our projects in any way, or if you want any of the links to the references I mentioned. You can find me via either the We and AI or Better Images of AI emails. I get them all. We're very small and volunteer-led, despite our kind of global, global impact with the Images project. And my LinkedIn, I think, is in the programme. Thank you very much for listening.